Hello, everybody. Welcome to Conservatish episode 200. I should have been prepared with the episode number. 225, I believe. I'm the hardest working man in show business. My name is Peter Edgar Feliciano. Wherever you're subscribing, make sure you share and rate and review. You do, Josh, does you do a much better job of sharing how people can subscribe. Anyway, we'll get over to you but first, everyone subscribe if you're listening and share this. And it really helps me if you leave a review too. And thumbs up. Just put your thumb up there. And I love you all very much. Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Joshua Slocum. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you're here. Oh my God.
I know, it's so cool. We've been talking about it, but it hasn't happened, but it's happening now.
It's happening now. There's a few people watching right now. We're famous and shit.
I told everybody on Twitter too, you need to get up in here because we're going to be totally live.
Right. We're going to be squirting all over the place.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Speaking of squirting, where can people find you, sir?
At night or during the day?
Anytime. Maybe in the social media.
Basically, you can find me in bed all the time. I won't let you in, but that's where you'll find me. I do a show called Disaffected with my producer, Kevin, who is responsible for how bloody professional it is. None of that is me. He does all of the packaging and graphics and processing and all that sort of stuff. We are on YouTube. Look for Disaffected Podcast. We're also on every major podcast platform. Look for us in your app. I do suggest using both words when you search Disaffected Podcast. If you use just Disaffected, you'll get a bunch of other stuff that's not me, and things that aren't me aren't fun.
No. I was going to say, I'm very happy. Okay, a couple of things to start us off. You and I met finally for the first time. We've been encircling each other through the worlds, through the spheres of Michael W. Harlow, and through the worlds. We've been friends on the Facebooks for a couple of months, maybe even a year now. And we've been circling each other's spheres, puckering. And finally I got to meet you at Myth Informed, the Better Discourse event in Fort Worth a couple of weeks ago. It was fucking fun.
It was great. Wasn't it great?
It really was. And if you haven't seen it, I was actually going to pull one up potentially, but I think I'd like to maybe, let me first. So I got to meet you, and it wasn't just that you're fun on social media. You are also really intelligent and clear and unfuckwithable, and those are my favorite motherfucking people.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, when you were on a wonderful chat about can you be born in the wrong body, and at some point you misgendered someone, and someone said, "Oh, so you're not gonna share their real pronouns," and you're like, "No," you just went right back. And I love motherfuckers like that.
No.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah, what I said was, no, I did not misgender him. I correctly sexed him. That is a man. Sex. Leah Thomas is a man named William.
Yes. Ooh, William. I can understand maybe why he cut off his dick then, because William is nobody likes a William.
Yeah, well, he probably stopped at Liam and he was like, why not just keep going?
Liam. He should have just done Liam. What the fuck?
I know. He didn't, come on. He hasn't cut his dick off, Peter.
Oh, he hasn't?
No intention. No, come on. Dude. No. Most of these guys, seriously, of the great majority of these guys today who call themselves trans women, not only have not had surgery, they have no intention of having surgery. And you can, if listeners don't believe this, you may verify this for yourself. Look it up. The great majority of them have a sexual fetish. They get their rocks off imagining themselves as women, but they don't actually want to cut off their sexual parts. You are not dealing with these sad, sad men that you remember from the Sally Jesse Raphael show where there was one in a million, right? It's not your gay best friend in high school who was so feminine that this was the only way he could get. This is not who you are dealing with. You're dealing with Buffalo Bill.
You really are. I'm serious. Now, I didn't have any. I love having my fucking.
I'm not saying Leah Thomas is Buffalo Bill, but I'm not saying that either.
No, he could probably skin some people. I don't have a problem. I did see there was a little nub, but some girls have a mound. I don't know if you know this as a gay gentleman.
Yes, there are a lot of things I know. And one of them is called tucking. Do you know about that?
I've heard. Well, I've had a number. One of my dear friends, Pollo Del Mar, the drag queen Pollo Del Mar, has talked.
Chicken of the sea.
She's the fucking best. She's been on my show a number of times. I love her to death. And she didn't go into masking tape necessarily or duct tape, but I've seen her in some wrestling outfits, leotards that are. It's intense how deep it goes.
Well, tucking is a drag practice, right?
Right.
If you're wearing something form-fitting, and just mild tucking is just mashing the stuff down and taping over it so there's like a smooth barbiness
and
there.
hoping you don't get hard.
Yeah. But then there's the super tuck. Do you know about the super tuck?
Is that when it's
not gonna
so
like
giant that you're gonna put it you pop it right in the booty?
Not it. You pop your nuts back inside, and then you pull the penis down to form a cover, and then you put the tape on.
Wait,
yes.
But all right. Listen,
I've never done it personally, but yes, it's a real thing. Yes.
No, I'm sure it is. There's no amount of I mean, to make it sound quasi intellectual for a second, because we are incredibly smart gentlemen. I wouldn't put anything past the human race. You know what I mean? Whether it's in putting your balls inside your butt or raping, whatever. Okay, so yeah, all right. That's
disgusting.
We really are, but we're also wonderful too. We even got a like, we got a heart, really? Whatever the fuck that means. Yeah. Let me subscribe. You just want to say hail chat. Therese said hail chat. I don't know what that means.
Is there a chat going on?
There is a chat. Can you see them over on the right there? You can open up the comments.
Oh, comments. I'm sorry. I'm spitting.
Camel toe? No, Adam, that's not camel toe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Adam's here. He's looking for his now.
Oh, what kind of his tuck?
I don't know. Ask him.
Adam,
he's
if you're looking
straight
for your
guys
tuck,
that hangs around with homos a lot.
It's called.
Thank goodness, and thank you, Adam.
Right, I've been a fag egg, although right, I've been called fag stag before. Well, like I have. A bunch of
I like that.
Yeah. Although Mike keeps saying it's fruit fly. Fruit fly is the ones that are good, and fag hags are the ones that are bad.
Oh, is that how it goes?
Fag hags are. Let's talk about how horrendous straight women are, because I think one of the main reasons, although lesbians are equally,
they're giving them a run for their money these days.
Holy fuck! But straight women for years, by the way, when the Me Too movement was happening, I was like, okay, as much as you want to say like, believe our women, I'm with you, sister, as a gay man. I'm like, you guys hate straight women. Go to any fucking gay club with a bunch of, I have a gay friend. So that means I get to puke in the gay bar. And look, I have, isn't that fun? What do you think of my dress? Like, as Scott Thompson put it, God bless him, Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall. He said, you like gays for the queer eye for the straight guy. You don't want gays with the gay sex. But without the gay sex, there is no gay. Without the muff diving, there is no lesbian.
Yeah, true. Although it does go both ways. And we're talking about to be semi-serious here for a second,
please.
There is, of course, a long history of gay men and straight women having very close and mutually supportive friendships.
Absolutely.
That's a real thing. But there is also it's also very common. And it isn't necessarily intentional or malicious.
Right.
But there is a dynamic where gay men and straight women use each other for different things. And the women tend to use the gay men as sometimes as accessories, social accessories and pets. And the gay men sometimes use the women as, dress me up, make me pretty Barbie. Right. They want to shop for their clothes and put their makeup on. They treat them like an accessory too. So there's some mutual of that going on.
Right.
But
and then sometimes also there's the dynamic of she's always a hot mess and he has to like clean up after her, be her free therapist and shit like that too.
Yeah, but the gay men though, they're often not any better.
No, I get that. Yeah.
They complain better. They complain with more style, But they're hot messes too. I mean, have you met us?
I have. I've spent a lot of
sadly.
Yeah. I'm sure Michael Harlow will slip in here sometime, and I'll have to watch. I have to watch my mouth.
Oh, he'll be here, honey. He goes to the opening of a zipper.
Hey. So, since we already talked quick shit about straight women, what the fuck happened to the gay community? Y'all used to be fun as fuck. Y'all used to be the bastion, the place where humor and understanding, and what the fuck? Where exactly was it? Was Trump that fuck up? Like, did that mess with your minds that bad? I don't think it was that. I personally believe that at some point, somewhere around Prop 8, somewhere around there, y'all had, not maybe you, but a lot of gays had life get so fucking good. So fucking good that they had to zero in on what someone looked at me weird. Someone won't make a cake for me, bitch. You don't, seriously, do you know how many people do you even want somebody who watches the 700 Club to make you a cake, bitch? You don't want that. Anyway, at some point life got so good you had to focus on that shit. And then now it's just some of the worst, most wokest, horrendous motherfuckers in the world. Unfunny motherfuckers in the world are gay men.
Deadly unfunny. Not only unfunny, but constitutionally incapable of recognizing humor or allowing humor.
Yes.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
You've turned yourselves into straight women.
So here's what I think happened in a nutshell.
Please.
There's 5 million different tendrils that we can't go into. And for people who don't know, I used to be a leftist. I was a wokie. I stopped that between 2016 and 2018. So I've been in that world, although I was never dour and humorless. Never. Never.
Right.
That I can't understand. But people, a lot of gay people say this, a lot of straight people say it. They say trans and queer, what they're calling queer today, has taken over and ruined the gay community. There is some truth to that, but here's the part they don't like to say, and they don't like it when other people say it, but it is true. We let this happen, and we prepared the ground for it, and we prepared that ground over the past 50 to 60 years. The call is coming from inside the home. We are not helpless victims. We are not helpless victims who got taken advantage of, and we were just trying to be nice to people. Right. Some of us were trying to be nice to people. Here's the straight up fact. The rate of mental illness and drug and substance addiction among homosexuals, men and women, is remarkably higher than against the background heterosexual population. No, that's not a nice thing to hear. It remains a fact. Okay. We don't have time to get into all of it, but it's not all just from being treated homophobically either. There is a huge, obvious correlation between abuse and neglect in the childhood home and eventual homosexuality. I'm not going to go any further than that. People can listen to my show if they want to hear about it, but it is not true that all the psychological problems that gay people have are because they were treated badly in high school. Not true. Right. Doesn't mean that we weren't treated badly. We were. Mm-hmm. I was, at least in my generation. Right. But especially gay men, gay male culture has always been a sewer, a sexual sewer. It is a bacchanal, it's libertine, it's hedonistic, it's drug taking, it's slutty, it's vain, it's shallow, and it's narcissistic. Right. That is gay male culture, and it has been that way for a long time. Doesn't mean that everybody is terrible and nobody has any good qualities, and I'm not exempting myself from any of that either. I lived that lifestyle. But it is true. And when you have got a bunch of walking wounded people with, and I'm sorry, I know this has been made to sound so cheap and stupid, but it really does mean something. When you have people with genuine, unresolved, severe trauma, walking around wounded without knowing exactly what's wrong with them, you have a population that is vulnerable to predation. And I think that's what happened.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. I also feel, because and this is something that also happens, and me saying this is not downplaying the severity of abuse that gay men received in high school, especially 80s and before and 90s, or especially the AIDS epidemic and what that did for your sexuality, what that did for, as Scott Thompson once put, he's like, I come out and I've been telling myself as I was growing up that I'm trash, that I'm worthless, and then I finally come out, and then AIDS happens, and it almost seems like the world is saying, no, you are trash, So I understand that. But I don't know anybody, number one, who didn't have a fucked up high school. And number two, for immutable characteristics, for being fat, I have wanted to kill myself over the course of my lifetime.
Sure.
Up and down. I remember being 315 pounds and thinking, like, I've tried all this, I've tried all that, and just feeling like, you know what, fuck this, I'm done. And yes, I was made fun of. And yes, I had continual abuse even into my 20s and the beginning of my 30s, which is a whole nother fucking episode. But bottom line is, I don't like the myopia of this is my lived experience, because it most of the time is used to negate the experience of how horrendous being a human is and how horrendous being a living human fucking being is. Imagine the abuse that's happening to men. Do you think that's happening in a vacuum, boys and girls? Do you think that what's happening to men, to straight men and straight white men specifically over the last 5, 10, 15 years, do you think that's happening in a vacuum? No. That's why the suicide rate is climbing. That's why this is again, walking wounded shit, right? Absolutely. And I'm 100% on board with that. But I almost feel like too often, I'm not saying you're doing this, but too often it gets used as this is, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but this is the explanation, or really the excuse for my shit fuck behavior. You know what I mean?
Yes, correct. Yeah, you're right. And that's one of the problems that minorities, so to speak, in the West, and particularly in America, have right now. We collectively, generally, and as I say to everybody, you need to supply your own, not all men and not all women, because I'm not going to fucking do it for you. Okay. I'm not going to caveat every single goddamn thing I say and say, I'm not talking about you and I'm not talking about you. Do it yourself. All right. Now that out of the way.
What a hateful person you are, Josh.
I suck.
Literally.
No, I'm retired. But I'm a retired gay. We minorities have imbibed a culture. The culture at large tells us this, and we tell ourselves the same story, whether we're Black or gay or trans or whatever. I'm a minority. I have a unique trauma experience unexperienced by any other human. And because it's so unique, it has a special kind of pain that is worse. And you can't understand it unless you've experienced it exactly like me, and you don't know what pain is. Bullshit.
Right.
Every human being knows what pain is. Every human being knows what humiliation and social exclusion feels like. Some much more keenly than others. Yes. But it is not true that your Black suffering is worse than someone else's, or your gay suffering is worse than someone else's. And again, I know this, it sounds cheap because so many people say it, but it is true. Being a minority today in the United States is to conceive of yourself and your stance toward the world primarily as one of victimhood.
Right.
And victimhood pays a very high salary in social currency today, and it's very seductive. It's fun to be a victim, and that's why there are so many victims.
Right. And those of us who are calling for the end of that shit, we're essentially trying to wrench that out of people's grasp. And as you've experienced, I'm sure we've all experienced, we were just talking about high school shit and how horrendous bullying can be. I'm very sensitive to bullying, very sensitive to the fuckery. And I don't give a fuck if you say, well, I'm bullying these people for a good reason. Fuck you. And I understand that the animal in the cocksucker in, like, not literally, the guy, most likely the closeted football player, the closeted football player in Kentucky in 1983. The motherfuckers who tied up fucking Matthew Shepard. Okay, those types of motherfuckers. That animal, the fucking I'm hurt, so I'm gonna hurt somebody else shit, is the same animal in you as somebody who's like screaming at somebody on the street because they fucking show up outside of an abortion clinic and pray. Ooh, you're not supposed to pray. Ooh. Like, that's bullying behavior, and fuck you. And women, straight motherfucking women, are some of the worst fucking culprits.
Absolutely. This is why I talk about this. That's why my show is about that's why I talk about cluster B personality disorder so much. Narcissism, clinical levels of narcissism, borderline personality disorder, the selfish, dramatic, exploitative, manipulative types of people.
Yeah.
They all traffic in reversal. They literally reverse the truth. They aggress and they call themselves a victim. They hurt and harm you and they call you a bully and an aggressor. Right? They lie and then they say they're the only ones who are telling the truth. We have to, if we're gonna get through this, and I don't know how we're gonna get through this cultural moment in any detail, we have to accept the reality of what we're seeing. There are a lot of people, and there are people who are watching this right now who know this is true. They know it's true, but they're afraid even inside their head to admit these people really are conscience-free, manipulative fucks. They don't want to believe that because it makes the world scarier than they want it to be. And it means that they're going to have to look at some of the people they think they like and actually make a judgment, a moral judgment about their character.
Yeah.
But bad character is running our lives right now. Bad people are running our lives right now. Not misguided people. A lot of people are misguided. Most people, I would say, fall into the misguided category. However, the loud, screeching minority in any era always sets the cultural tone. And the loud, screeching minority on the left right now is chock-a-block with severely personality disordered people, psychopaths, borderlines, narcissists, histrionics. They're all cluster B. All of them at the top of this bullshit are cluster B. Stop putting up with it. Stop saying, oh no, psychopaths and mean people like that are only things I see in Hallmark movies and serial killers, and they're like 1 in a million. Stop it. They're not. It's more like 1 in 10 these days.
Right.
Sorry, I got sort of like.
No, I love that. No, I love that. You're on the right fucking show. Oh, I forgot to say cunt. We need to say cunt. Cunt, nigger, faggot. All right, there you go. We hit all the. If everybody's doing conservatish bingo out there. And also we've got, let me just get to one. Yes, they pervaded every aspect of the culture, Adam. Yes. Joseph. Yes, context matters. It's not hard. Just don't assume the worst about people at all times. Problem gone. That's yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
And gay guys, see, this is the other thing. Joseph says gay guys roast the fuck out of people too. Never not funny. Yeah. In maybe 10, 15, I'd say 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd say
now, not so much.
No. Now, it's even fucking, they go after, okay, Pollo Del Mar is a perfect example. Okay, Pollo Del Mar, a man who grew up in the 80s as a gay kid, okay, got over drug addiction and alcohol. Like he's an amazing motherfucker. He changed his life, and he decided wants to perform as a drag queen. So he becomes a drag queen. He's told the story on my show. And yet he's doing a show a couple years ago in 2018 and makes a tranny joke. And then someone online says, not okay. It's like, he's like everybody in the fucking, everybody, not okay. You said something.
Fuck you.
I'm unfuckable. Everyone needs to change their life because I'm unfuckable. Fuck you, bitch. Seriously. Just get some water-based lubricant. Okay, just yourself.
Aren't you fucking sick of ugly people complaining about not getting laid? Because I sure as shit am. I'm sorry that you're ugly. I'm sorry your face could stop a train, but it's not my responsibility.
Right. Or, hey, at the very least, I had an old mentor who said, if you're complaining about not getting laid, lower your standards. Someone will fuck you. Okay. Someone will
or
fuck
take
you.
a bath. Take a bath and take some of that metal out of your fucking face.
Or even better, if you're a straight woman listening and you're like, why haven't I gotten any dick? Because any straight woman can get a dick. Amy Schumer, any, fucking any. But can you keep it, bitch? Can you keep it? And here's a way to. This is a health tool. This is a beauty tool. Okay, tips and tricks with Peter Feliciano. Raise your arm like this. Take a straight razor and just go like that. It's a simple
that
technique.
Is so patriarchal, Peter.
Shave so the hair. I don't care if there's hair on top of the mound, okay? But if it's on the lips, how am I supposed to get to it? Okay, so stop. Anyway, what were we talking about before I started ranting about pussy hair? Oh, ugly people. Yes, there's. I agree with you that sick fuck, mentally twisted. I don't want to do my trauma work. None of us do, bitch. Just fucking get over it and do it. But anyway, I don't want to do my trauma work. People are fucking with our lives, but there's always been mentally motherfucking retarded people. The problem is not necessarily the fulcrum of what changed is that well-meaning, sane people who got in charge hired those motherfuckers. Well-meaning, sane people said, well, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so I'll go ahead and metaphorically tuck my dick. I'll just turn into a male feminist because someone somewhere is crying, so I'll change.
Yep.
Right? It's because we listened. Like you said earlier, it's because the gays capitulated and kowtowed to these fucking nut jobs. Now, I don't want to add to it.
What I'm having a harder time, maybe you can help me. Maybe you can help me understand this, Peter. Yes, I can see why someone like me, a gay man from a background of pretty severe child abuse, I can understand why someone who fits my demographic characteristics is vulnerable to this cult ideology. What I'm having a harder time understanding is why so many heterosexual men are terrified to say no to women. Why? What happened over the past 10 years that straight men have become terrified, quivering mice? I've never seen anything like it. Do you notice it too, Peter?
I've got lots to say on this one.
Well, please enlighten me.
All right. If you're a woman and you get a taste of power, power corrupts, right? And if you realize at a young age that all you need to do is, as Patrice O'Neal, rest in peace, the greatest comedian of all time, as Patrice said, is hold the pussy hostage. If you have a gun to the pussy's head and I'm going to close off my legs, you're not going to get to fuck me. That slowly fucks with a guy's mind and he starts to make slow decisions. Selling your soul is a slow process. It's not I'm wonderful all the time and then all of a sudden I'm just going to, I'm a piece of shit. No, it's a slow process. And it happens slowly. Micro is macro in many ways, but it happens slowly with shows like Yes Dear, shows like Everybody Loves Raymond, shows like all these different shows like, yeah, I noticed it. I was sorry, everybody, for what I'm about to say. I apologize. Yes, I'm a very masculine, unfuckwithable man, but I decided to watch Ratatouille the other day. I apologize. I'm sorry. Okay. I never but I just decided, fuck it. I didn't want to watch Game of Thrones again. I just wanted to see something else. So I put on that shit, and the guy is a fumbling, messy, lying, just like, oh, gee, golly, and she's just all in charge, and she's just telling him what to do, and that dynamic. And I think it goes back further, but I think
you're right. It's everywhere in pop culture.
It's everywhere in pop culture where the guy is just lucks his way into some pussy, and she puts up with him. Thank God my wife puts up with me. Now, remember how we were talking about, or I was just saying, any girl can get dick but not keep dick. A guy, she can keep dick but she's not happy. Meaning, okay, like this. when you're a let's say Josh is a straight man and he's a shark. Let's say straight women are sharks too, but they're the girl version of a shark. At a certain point, you don't like having less power in the dynamic, or you get told by a bunch of douchebag cunts and unhappy feminists that you don't have enough power. And so better analogy is this: Batman and Robin. Robin is second in command, but he's important. But he's not
the bottom.
Fucking. He's not fucking Batman.
He's the bottom bitch.
But Batman needs a Robin, kind of. He could do his own, but it's way better with a Robin. And so girls, if they are surrounded by enough people, like, this is what power is to be a fucking douchebag cunt. If you act like a douchebag cunt, you will find a bunch of weak, wispy guys to fuck and make your boyfriend, but you will get tired of them and you will leave them. Guys don't understand that they need to risk and take the L if they're going to make women happy. Tell a bitch no. Sometimes, straight boys, tell a bitch no. Set some boundaries. Hello, boundaries. And if she doesn't like those boundaries, she can walk out the fucking door. But most of the time, she's like, all right, well, for some reason, my pussy's wet right now. Why is my pussy wet even though I'm angry?
Oh, angry sex is some good sex.
Anyway, just to put a nice little a little fucking, what's that word? Misogynistic bow on it. I think that what happened is a slow process of guys who really, they're well-meaning motherfuckers. They don't want to hurt anybody. They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And they slowly put their manhood in their pocket and they're waiting because women had a hard time for a long time. Right.
So you really do, in seriousness, think that the majority of this is about sexual access? That even if that's not there on the conscious front level, but that's the dynamic under this?
That's a big portion of it. But also it's also self-honesty. It's also self-honesty. I don't believe necessarily that all men are masculine automatically. And I'm not even saying bedroom masculine. I'm saying masculine. Yeah. There's a lot of bottoms who fucking are willing to fucking scrap, right? But what I'm saying is, outside of the bedroom, I don't believe most men naturally are and want to be that guy who's just like, whatever you say. And that's ultimately, again, dishonesty. Girl's not going to feel safe. If she senses in her body that you're not being honest with yourself, that you're not taking care of yourself, right? She's not going to invest. She's not going to let her guard down.
Yeah. And we can even take away the sex typical psychologies and desires. Take that out. Let's just pretend that men and women don't have sex typical differences in psychology. You can't respect and really cleave to a person who does not have a core, right? You can't respect somebody who never says no, who never pushes back, who is not a fully engaged adult with you, right? You may think you want that in the beginning, but you don't,
right?
But then, you add in the sex typical psychology. It reminds me of, Peter, it's all this stuff that most of us know is true, but a lot of us, and I did it for a long time, I don't do it anymore. A lot of us are afraid to say it because we think that there's something morally wrong with the truth. And so, for example, I've heard Carrie Smith talk about this several times, that the uber feminist third wave, rah, get your tits out to save the Western world, men, patriarchy, they're all rapists, and that in the bedroom, they want a man to ravish them. Mm-hmm. They want a dominant man sexually. Mm-hmm. And she has talked about how, when these women will talk privately with each other, how ashamed they are to admit this to themselves and to right? Mm-hmm. Because they think that it's some kind of moral failing.
Right.
I have to think that in the heterosexual world, at least both sexes right now seem to be lying to themselves about who they are.
Yes.
Just as men and women, and not allowing themselves to experience these things for fear that they've broken a moral code. And so they're at war with themselves.
Yes. Yes. And I would rather die. I know it's flippant to say it, but I've done my time being dishonest with myself. I did enough.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. And it led me to the point of feeling alone. And it led me to feeling, what is the fucking point to life? I did my time, and I would rather, it's just like being in the closet, boys and girls. Ta-da. Let's wrap it up in that way. It's just like where you're like, if you're not honest with yourself, eventually that eats away at your soul. And some motherfuckers will just continue that until the grave. I don't know what the fuck that is. I can't say that I'm morally better than them because I decided to speak up for myself. But I do know that once I got a taste of it and saw what the truth was, I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back. And you're talking about that same thing. It's, why wouldn't you want to feel fulfilled, boys and girls? Why wouldn't you want to feel happy? Why wouldn't you want to feel like a little lighter in your belly and just kind of more natural and like, like, I know it's more scary, but I was just talking with somebody a couple of days ago and she was like, well, yeah, you kind of challenge me. I'm like, yeah, but do you feel better with me? Well, I know, feminists, shut the fuck up. Do you feel good? Well, yeah. Well, then what's wrong? What's wrong? It's okay. It's all right. There's something, we can figure it out. But bottom line is, I'd rather feel happy. I did my time not feeling happy, you know?
Yes. And once you see some of these things and really accept them, you can't unsee them. There is a point of no return. We've all gotten, those of us who are sort of where we are now, my life isn't exactly the same as yours, but we've all come to some similar realizations about people and human nature and these sorts of things. Once you get there, you can't go back. You can't go back to pretending. Right. And it makes you unpopular with a lot of people. Makes you popular with some people. There's a lot of people out there who want to be having this kind of conversation. Right. But there's a whole lot of people who don't want that kind of conversation to exist.
Right. And speaking of people who want to be a part of the conversation, hi, Brentley. Hi. He says, look at these handsome gentlemen. You're goddamn right. Sage says relationships are for pushing each other and growing together. It seems so much of participation trophy culture is telling everyone it's okay to never change. You're perfect just the way you are.
Good point.
Yeah.
You are not perfect just the way you are. You do need to change. You are deficient. I say this to myself every morning, and that's why I have such high self-esteem.
You're like the worst Stuart Smalley ever. Nobody likes you.
No, you shouldn't have been born.
Right. Wasn't there a part of that movie? Anyway, fuck that. Who gives a shit? Yeah, okay. I will add though. All right. I know this is gonna I don't think things are as binary as that, because I do believe self-acceptance is one of the most important things that I've done for myself.
Yeah, but you got to do it. You got to be honest about it. You got to be honest about who you are.
Right. Right. And a lot of people, I think partially because, there are motherfuckers, and you said it in that, I think you said it in that talk at Myth Informed at Better Discourse. Everyone go watch. Is instead of, okay, I put it like this. Sometimes you're trans. Yep. Sometimes you are. But sometimes you have a mental illness and you're surrounded by irresponsible adults, who just don't want to make you feel anything bad ever. They want to coddle you. They want to they think, you know what? How to correct this person's low self-esteem? Just make them feel like a king constantly. Make them feel like that's not the correct way. It's not
real. Way. And it falls apart when there isn't somebody there to hold up that cardboard prop for you. I'm going to go there.
Do it.
I think I might disagree with you, but we haven't done definitions, so I'm not sure.
Let's do it.
You just said sometimes you're really trans. To you, what is really trans? What is genuine, real deal transgender to you?
Genuine, real deal transgender is someone, as an example, my friend Jess Morgan. She's been on my show. She lived, she's a comedian from San Francisco. She, made a joke about like, yeah, I had a fucking giant dick, but, and worked in construction and blah, blah, blah. And when she was older, she decided, you know what, I'm sick of wearing, hosiery underneath my construction clothing. And I want to have surgery to make myself feel more close to what I actually am. Now, to me, that's extremely rare, like extremely fucking rare. And I also don't get so nervous. And maybe this is where you're having a bit of a hard time. I'm not saying let's open the door for anyone who says they feel like that to go ahead and do that. But I am saying once they're 18, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a separate conversation,
Right.
and I'm not making any claims about what people should or should not be allowed to do as adults. I definitely have views on this, and they're negative. But this is me. I do not run their lives, and I do not wish to run their lives.
Right.
However, I don't buy it. No. That's not who someone really is. Who you are is who you are. I'm not going to say to me. I'm not going to qualify it and say it's my personal opinion. Okay. There is no such thing as being born in the wrong body. That's not real. It doesn't even make sense by the rules of logic. I am not saying that you can't be extremely uncomfortable, that the way you have developed an understanding of yourself is to see yourself as I'm trapped in the wrong body, or I need to reconfigure my body. I understand that people genuinely experience that. And you're right that genuine experience is much more rare than people act like it is. However, I'm willing. I very much doubt this is going to happen, but I will listen if someone wanted to try. You can argue to me, I might be able to change my mind if I could hear some compelling evidence, but it would have to be very compelling on a philosophical level, not just a technical level. I don't really believe that kind of extreme intervention can be called a healthy step. I may be wrong about that, but what worries me about it is this is a trauma-based condition. I am convinced of this. I know that some people will disagree with me. I do not care, and I'm not going to have the argument, not because I'm not willing to be challenged, but because I have already had the argument for years and years. I have already done that work. I'm not going to do it again with anyone else, unless I have something new, and they never do. This comes from trauma. And trauma is a bitch. Real trauma. Not fake trauma, real trauma. Real child abuse, real neglect, real sexual abuse. I can't resign as someone who experienced those things myself, I cannot resign myself to the idea that there is no hope for someone to integrate a personality, to be able to tamp down pathological levels of anxiety. I cannot believe that is the healthiest way, because the urge to change your body to that degree is itself a symptom of trauma. That is not something that you're naturally born with. That is not a judgment on that person. It's not a judgment on any individual person. Certainly not. I might have gone down that road. There were a few circumstances in my life that steered me away from it, but I'm not outside that circle of people. Right. That could make sense to. I'm sorry, I've gone on long enough about that.
No. So let me clarify some of my definition. I'm not saying that there is a third sex or a fourth or a fifth or any of that stuff. I'm saying gender dysmorphia, meaning whether it comes from trauma, like you're saying, or from some sort of chemical imbalance.
Nope, trauma.
and I'm going to jump in here.
You've got a commenter here who I'm sorry, I'm going to disagree with too, and I guess I'm not sorry that I'm keeping talking. He says, born in the wrong body is real shit. UCLA did brain scans on trans people and found differences in the area responsible for gender identity. Yeah, the brain does that. That I believe that's a misunderstanding. Why? Yes, you can do brain scans and find differences, but first of all, and I'm the Joseph Santos. I'm not coming at you with hostility. I promise I'm not. I'm merely. I think you are mistaken, and you're mistaken in a way that a lot of people are mistaken. They did not find the area of the brain that is responsible for gender identity. Gender identity isn't real. Okay, it's not real. It can be a feeling that people have, but there's no such philosophical essence as a gender identity. Also, when you do brain scans, you cannot answer the question, if a trans woman's brain in this area shows activity patterns that look more like a straight, regular woman, and that does happen, that can be an effect, not a cause, right? So living that way, taking those steps, becoming transgender, everything we do affects our brain structure, and our brain structure affects what we do. It is a cycle that cannot be separated. So we haven't actually identified that with brain scans. We found something suggestive, but there are multiple hypotheses that could explain that. And we have not even gotten close to, we found the gender identity lobe.
That makes sense. And as far as the and by the way, he said no hostility perceived. See, aren't conservative people?
I'm glad. I'm not. I argue hard, but I really wasn't trying to be like you're stupid. That's not what I mean.
Right. I think that's a perfect example, by the way. Can we just pause and get meta real quick? I think that's a perfect example of mature motherfuckers coming into this and understanding what that, I mean, this is the whole point of Conservatish, by the way, is I'm too conservative for the liberals and I'm too liberal for the conservatives. I talk about Trump and then I talk about eating ass on the same fucking episode. Okay. So you can I had motherfuckers, I was complaining about the don't say gay pill and I said, God damn, in a video clip, and people said 3 motherfuckers on TikTok. Can you not say God damn? No, I will say goddamn. If your God can't handle me fucking making fun of him, your God's too small. Anyway, so here's the deal. I agree with that. I don't think that's wrong. I would pull it even further in your same direction, that gender affirmation does not necessarily make somebody all the way better. No more problems, hooray. Or how do you even quantify if something is better? I know tons of non-trans people who've killed themselves, okay? I know tons of non-trans people with fucking other disorders. Or maybe people who are trans who also have fucking bipolar, who also have this, and there's all kinds of those. So bottom line is, as long as you're adult and you do, and I believe there should be lots of fucking therapy necessary and maybe some pills, maybe this and whatever. And if at the end of the day, you really feel like, you know what? No, this is right. And you don't, by the way, I had fucking arm surgery a little while ago.
You did too.
I had arm surgery.
You had some serious shit going on.
I had some serious shit going on, and it's still kind of going on a little bit, but that's all right. I'm getting better. And it was necessary for me to go to multiple doctors to make sure and get opinions from various types of people. Not only find doctors who only said this one thing was the solution. That would be irresponsible of me on my part, right? So I did my research, right? But if you're doing your research in order to, and looking for confirmation bias, where you're like, I only want to talk to one type of therapist who says, yes, you're trans, let's cut off your pee-pee, that seems to be, you know what I'm saying? That's a problem.
Yeah. That, I'm perfectly content to restrict. What my main concern is children in this. I may have opinions about what adults are wise or unwise to do, but that's really much less important. And again, it really is not. It is not my place or my business to try to affect the course of an adult's life. So long as they're not affecting me. But the children. Here's the problem. I see it this way. I think this is an example of we won't tell the whole truth. And because we won't tell the whole truth, we are not being as effective at protecting children as we need to be. People say there's no such thing as a trans child, right? You hear people say you can't, there's no such thing. You're feeding a delusion in these children. You're putting them on a permanent path. They're right to say there's no such thing as a trans child. What they don't want to say is, in my view, there's no such thing as a transhuman. I know. And I'm not saying that you can't be an adult and have your surgery, but we have got to cut the fucking shit because children need us to. Okay. Right. It is not true that humans are born in the wrong sexed body. It's not true. I'm not going to pretend it's true. I'm not going to sit quietly and nod and say we agree to disagree. Bullshit. We have to get there. We have to get there if we're going to protect kids. Because if we don't, what do we have? We have, well, almost all kids aren't trans, but there are a few that really do need to have their puberty blocked and really do need to have a fake penis made. That's what you're saying. Yes, when you say almost all kids aren't trans, you are saying there's a minority of kids who do need to be castrated. Now, if you want to talk about this, we're going to talk about it from that ground of truth. Right. If you can't get there, we ain't talking.
Right. I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I put it this way. I like using identity politics to kill identity politics. I think it's one of my favorite things to do. Especially when I saw a bunch of motherfuckers. Fun side note, by the way, because we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary. George Floyd said he couldn't breathe before they put him on the ground. It's on video. So everybody have a great day. But anyway.
St. Floyd.
What?
St. Floyd.
St. Floyd, right. But he had black skin. You're not allowed to question. No. So I'm a half spick. I'm a half Puerto Rican.
I was wondering when we were going to get to the spick part.
Yeah. So I'm half Puerto Rican. So I'm from New York. So that's where all Puerto Ricans come from. And
are you New Yorican?
I am. I was born in Long Island. And then I moved out to the Bay Area when I was a young boy. I was 9. And that was, by the way, that was life changing. Just like, cutting off a dick. Anyway. And one of the ways I use identity politics to kill identity politics, when George Floyd when he died, a bunch of well-meaning, smart, kind, white motherfuckers that I know online on behalf of the Black Lives Matter accounts that they follow, because they don't know any black people. The less, by the way, this is scientific the less black people you know, the more supportive you are of Black Lives Matter.
Correct.
Fuck you. Anyway, so I had a bunch of motherfuckers online. White people need to shut up. Just listen to black people. And that's disgusting to me. Not only because you're telling a whole race of people that they don't get to have a say, but also I'm a half white. Should I shut my mouth 45% of the time, you myopic cunt? Anyway, so I just grabbed a bunch of black conservatives and what about them? What about them? What about that? And I put them all up at a fucking I will shove it down your fucking throat, because the bottom line is you can't do that. And one of the ways I did that recently is I went on a rant about parents of trans kids. Only white motherfuckers is doing this shit.
That's right.
Only
this is
white
some
motherfuckers
white
is
bullshit.
doing this. This is some white wokeness.
It's white
is white
liberal
people
bullshit.
Shit. Absolutely. And so I'm like, if you're going to do this,
it's white women bullshit.
Yes.
What it is.
Or effeminate straight men.
Yeah. Or gay men.
Or gay men. Gay men are doing that shit too.
Unfortunately, I
gay
have
parents?
seen some, not nearly as many as the straight women, even taking account proportions and rates of population. And you know what? I mean, here's why. We already know. We already have a name for what these women are doing to their children. Yeah. It's not transing. We already know this. You know this. Every one of you watching this, you will recognize this. You ready? You ready to be offended? It's called Munchausen syndrome by proxy. That's what they're doing. You remember those movies of the week where they would feature a mother who poisoned her child and claimed to have cancer and got all the love and plaudits and what a sainted suffering mother she is, and ends up killing the child? We've seen. That's what this is. It is not like that. It's not strangely similar to that. It is an example of that. Right. The people who are doing this, the mothers who are doing this, this is not a random sampling of the population of mothers. This is a heat sink for mothers with borderline and narcissistic personality disorder. Munchausen syndrome by proxy, in my view, it is not a standalone illness. There's no such thing as a completely stable, normal woman whose only problem psychologically is that she likes to poison her children and be clapped at for it. That doesn't even make any goddamn sense. It is not its own illness. It is a symptom of borderline and cluster B personality disorders. This is self-selection. That's what you're seeing.
Right. Yeah. And that's the same thing of like motherfuckers like believe all women. I'm like, I've actually fucked a lot of you people. And I know some of you are the only people who
I
say,
hope you strapped a 2x4 to your ass.
I swear to God. The only motherfuckers, again, with the less black people, you know, the less women you fucked, the more you think believe all women. It's absolutely true. That's some science ass shit, right? So and that's
how I feel when people are like, oh, my gay friends are so great. Like, you don't know that many, do you, bitch?
Yeah, some of y'all are cunts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Peter, what did Brentley say? Brentley said, Peter's like, I've put my dick in crazy, so I know crazy. Well, yeah. And many times I've like told myself while I'm doing it, don't do this, but my dick goes in anyway.
Yeah.
And you just gotta hide. Man, it
Well,
must have been way easier to hide
some
from
of these
crazy
chicks lay
in
a
the
trap,
80s.
though. Would you say?
It must have been way easier to hide from crazy in the 80s.
How so?
Well, okay, already in the gay community, you can just, I mean, it's all through Grindr anyway, so you can just block motherfuckers. But also you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have to, right? You just, although, I don't know, maybe not, because the Castro, as an example, was a very homogenous.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you're right. I don't have any experience. I've never done Grindr or anything. I don't have any of those apps. I live online, but that's not a world that I've been into. So, I mean, I've been voluntarily single and celibate for years. So I kind of bowed out of that culture before that really took over. But my friends who are on apps like Grindr say exactly what you're telling me. It's constant. There are women on there calling themselves gay men, and getting gay men booted off the platform for not agreeing that they're men. I mean, literally, a hookup app for gay men will ban gay men for not saying, yes, your vagina is a penis. It's that fucking sick.
I love it when chickens come home to roost.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, again, self-honesty. And yeah, I've known some horrendous gay people before, but I've also known wonderful people. And I've known some black motherfuckers who are stupid and evil, right? I did voluntary work at prison for years, right? And I know some wonderful motherfuckers who did kill people and do deserve to be in prison, and happily they changed their life and they're fucking kicking ass and they're helping people and they're altruistic and they're fucking doing all that, going to school. Yay! But they did kill people and they do. This is not Shawshank Redemption, white boys. It's I'm serious. But because of that experience, again, it levels out the human playing field. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. My experience does matter. I do. They were right when they said that some people deserve to be in prison. I personally stop at the death penalty. But outside of that, like, you know, shit, I'm willing to have my taxes to pay for those motherfuckers just to be separated from society. But again, the more people you know, the better. Let's start. Are you okay to go a little bit longer?
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're not on Grindr. Let's have a nice little, as you ever listen to Bill Hicks back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah. How he's like, okay, he goes on a rant about fucking Waco or something. He's like, don't worry, we're gonna parachute down to Dick Joke Island for the end of the year.
Yeah.
So what did you hit were you in the unholy chasm between Grindr, and I don't mean that in a fun, you know, whatever. Did you hit the unholy chasm between cruising and Grindr? Were you able to get in some cruising before you?
Oh yeah. I was a complete whore. Yeah. You know, and to rip off the parody of Madonna's 1990 Truth or Dare, I lost my virginity in a phone booth.
Wow.
Not really.
Oh, okay.
I just like to say that.
Of course.
Yeah, no, I mean, as many young gay men, gay teens are, and yeah, well, more than half of us come from abusive backgrounds. We are easy pickings for older men. You know, I started being sexually active with older men at about 15 years old. And I mean, 5 years older, 10, 20, 30 years older. Very common in the gay community. Pederasty is winked at and pretend it's not there. But then I was as promiscuous and club hopping as you know, the majority of men like me were in those days. And I was goddamn lucky to get out of it without AIDS.
Right. Especially, and when I actually worked for a couple of months at a porn store in the Castro.
Yep.
It was called Does Your Mother Know?
Jesus Christ. I mean, talk about a misbranded insane asylum.
Speaking of misbranded, and we would sell things like VCR cleaner. Were they VCR cleaner or were they?
Did that get the come out
remover? No, nothing gets the come out. It's the poppers. It was some poppers. Now, and I didn't know. I knew poppers were pervasive. I didn't know how pervasive meth.
Okay, they're way. Oh, meth. You said?
Yeah,
that's new.
Okay.
The pervasiveness of poppers and meth. The gay male world has always been full of sex and drugs. It was never romper room, but it's way worse now. And it was bad. It started being bad in the 70s. That was the bathhouse. That's what gave us the bathhouses. But you know what? A lot of AIDS we did to ourselves. We did this to ourselves. You said earlier in the conversation, then AIDS happened and it was like blah, blah, blah. Yeah. AIDS didn't just happen. We made AIDS happen. Right. I have lost friends to AIDS. I am not unsympathetic. I have been with men who were dying and who were skeletons. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, we walked around and spread our legs for anybody repeatedly and got extremely drunk, extremely high, all of our inhibitions lowered, no protection, no wise judgments. And it happened. We are responsible for what we do to ourselves, not just what other people don't protect us from.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know,
and when you were in a culture that others, sorry to use their word, but it's true, when you other people who don't do that, who it's strange. I know multiple older gay male couples, and I love them very much, and I won't ever say their name, but I know multiple older gay male couples who have been married for a long time, and one of them is the type, and it's talked about in this weird, like, oh, they're the type that once they fuck somebody, they fall in love, right? That's like silly or weird or
how endearing,
right? While the other partner is a fucking just swallowing all kinds of whatever. So it's already even in that sphere, much less somebody who goes to church or wears a nun uniform like on purpose without being like, oh, I'm ironic.
I know.
You know what I mean? Right. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
It's true. Look, gay men, part of it is very, very simple. Gay men are doing what straight men would do if women would put out to that level.
Right.
Okay. This is just in many ways natural male behavior. It's not healthy male behavior. Right. One is as uncomfortable and unpleasant as this is for gay men to hear. One of the reasons we are this way is because we don't have a moderating female influence that is pushing back on our sex drive.
Yes.
Okay? Right? This is not a moral judgment against anybody. It's just a recognition of reality.
Right.
There are problems that happen that don't happen. That is to say that I know older gay male couples as well who've been married for a long time, or, you know, married or equivalent, however they want to describe it. And I can't name one of them where they're still not fucking other people.
Right.
So with some of them, it's an agreed upon situation. And again, not my place. If it works for you, it's your life. It's fine. But gay men aren't monogamous.
Right.
Very few of them are.
Right. I'll put it another way. Straight men all know this experience. And Patrice O'Neill would put it like this. Here's a phrase that here's something that has literally never happened. A bunch of straight dudes are all hanging out and they're going to a movie or going to a club or whatever. Or they're going to someplace. And all of a sudden one of them says to the other ones, man, you know what would make this night even better? If my girl was here. Like that never, ever happens. Women, sorry, but it's fucking true. Your job almost naturally is to ruin our fun. And we love you for it. We love you. Oh, women aren't funny. He's saying, no, I'm not saying that necessarily. But even my favorite female comedians have the most vapid, retarded political opinions. Isn't it funny? Isn't it interesting that almost none of the female comedians along the line, here's what it is. Women are more willing to sacrifice fun for the feelings or potential feelings of someone else.
Yes.
Dudes, real ass dudes, don't give a fuck and are willing to understand and communicate with each other that way. And we need somebody, girls, we need somebody to be the girls. Thank you. Thank you. But you're never going to be as fun or funny as us. So again, that's a perfect example of that thing you were just talking about. Women water it down or tamp it down or hold us back in some way. And guys make lesbians funnier, but lesbians can't be. Yes. I mean, that's why lesbians are so unfun.
As one of your somebody in the chat said, women civilize men, call it what it is. Yeah, that's the concise way to say it. Mm-hmm. I remember having that conversation 21 years ago at a party at one of my very close female friends' houses. And these were my alcoholic days. So I mean, if you think I say a lot of stuff now, you should have seen me when I was a drunk. And I said something like, men need women around because if you've got a household that's all just men, you're going to get X, Y, and Z problems. Whereas women won't put up with this, right? And my friend said, that sounds kind of sexist. It sounds sort of like the Victorian ideal of the angel in the home, the moral core of the home. And yeah, I guess it kind of does sound like that a little bit. And I don't mean to suggest that it is women's moral or legal responsibility to mother and make and clean up everybody's messes. I don't mean that at all. I'm talking about a much more organic interplay of traits and dispositions.
Right.
You know, but if it's true that women civilize men, and I think it is to a degree, I think we might also say that men do something for women. I don't know what the word is for it, but there is a moderating male influence too that is severely lacking in our society right now. Yes. That is why, frankly, we've got so many crazy fucking women running everything.
Right. And that's why I'm willing to tell motherfuckers.
This is not a patriarchy that we're living in. We are in a gynecocracy right now.
Did you make that word up?
No, I didn't. I stole it from the fabulous lesbian writer Florence King, and you should read her book. You should read her book. She's hysterical, funny, foul-mouthed. I
almost get
very
smatterings.
Arch lesbian.
Yeah, I almost get smatterings of Camille Paglia in that sentence. It feels
like that, but a little bit more raw.
Okay, good. Because Camille, sometimes I'm like, all right, let me go look up what the fuck that word means. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I mean, I've always felt that when it comes to girls, but in the conversation right now, in the world's conversation, we're only getting one side. And what I love about Camille, she talks about the actual historical world. I'll put it this way. You ever seen Downton Abbey? I love her to death. She's a wonderful.
I really love her. She doesn't know I love her, but I have a crush on her, and I want her to come on my show, and I want her to be my best friend.
I know. I swear to God. I was almost going to tweet that the other day, that I'm manifesting Camille Paglia. Who was it? Camille Paglia, Scott Thompson, Patrice O'Neill, and 70s Joni Mitchell on a boat off of the, you know what I mean? Because she went nuts.
I've got most of her records. Yes, she's crazy now, but I'm a fan.
But I will say, just as I've talked about this on the show, I don't think she's at fault for I'm gonna put my music on Spotify for Joe Rogan. Her handlers did that. Have you seen videos of Joni the last 5 years? She's barely alive.
Oh, has she really declined?
Really declined. She had a fucking coma a couple years ago. Yeah, she's
I didn't
like
know that.
She did a 50 years celebrating of Blue, the album, and she's just like, hi, yes, it's been 50 years. Oh yeah, oh yeah. She didn't make that decision to pull her music.
That's sad. That's sad,
Joni. But bottom line is, there's and Camille talks about this. Have you ever seen Downton Abbey?
Yeah.
Okay. Downton Abbey is.
I haven't watched it through, but I've watched 9 or 10 episodes. Okay. I know about it.
Yeah, you get the gist, and the gist is what I like about that show. Besides just I don't know what the fuck. I as
the castle and the costumes. Everybody likes that. It's great. It's fucking great.
As Brantley said earlier in the chat, Peter is the gayest straight guy. I know. Yeah. I know. I can't help it. Okay. Anyway, I need a man after midnight. All right. So here's the deal. On Downton Abbey, it does a good job of showing that there are cunts upstairs and cunts downstairs. There are good things that happen upstairs and bad things that happen upstairs, and good things that happen downstairs and bad things. It shows the nuance of just because class, right? You ever seen Titanic is a bad example. Everybody upstairs is mean and stuffy, and everybody
downstairs was glorious and beautiful and more gifted by God. Yeah.
None of them hated faggots. No one downstairs hated. None of the Irish guys.
None of them ever sold their children for a ticket.
None of the Irish guys downstairs hated niggers. No, that doesn't happen.
They just sit around and jig all day for your delectation.
It's the perfect, exactly. That set up white girls, that set up white straight girls to think like, I need to find a Leo. Oh, and then I'm so annoyed with my amazing fucking life. I'm going to kill myself because
those girls who were the extras in that scene, they were all like, play brown-eyed girl, play brown-eyed girl.
Fucking douchebags. Women are douchebags. Anyway, so what I like about Camille is she does that same thing. And she talks about, even though there was a separation back in the agrarian days, whatever, there was a separation of this is the male's world, this is the women's world. Yep. They were happier and they worked together and they worked with each other and they weren't as cutthroat, cunty, whatever. And listen, girls, you would not trade places with us. You would not trade places with us. And I honestly would not want to trade places with y'all motherfuckers. But in some ways I would. The fact that I kind of would.
I'm one of those domestic men. I mean, I like house things. I like cooking.
How many aprons do you own, Josh?
Only 2.
Okay.
Only 2.
One says kiss the meth cook.
But that's one drug I don't think I've ever tried that one.
That is the gayest thing in the world. I don't think.
Have you tried it?
I've ever tried meth. No.
Okay. I did a lot of coke. I just never did meth.
Well, I would have. I'm 20 years sober, but I would have done that shit. Absolutely. But I'll just say, to wrap that part up, we need to understand that girls, even though, it sucks being in the kitchen. Okay. Which is worse, being in the kitchen or being killed in battle? I don't know. Which one is worse?
Hoeing the fields all day.
Hoeing the fields all day. I don't like this scrubbing. Okay, well, the average life expectancy of a junior officer in World War I was 6 fucking weeks. Not months, bitch. 6 fucking weeks, because he would run over the top of and the Germans would shoot for the motherfucker with a whistle and a revolver. So shizh and scrub. We all have.
Well, there's also the fact that our work lives now. We have such soft, easy lives, right? Yeah. I complain about everything, but I have a soft, easy life.
Oh yeah.
Right. I have an office job.
Right.
There's much less difference in many fields. There's men and women doing basically non-jobs, right? Like, I'm in a nonprofit. I do consumer education, and I think it's important, but it is also not making anything, or You know, I'm typing and I'm talking, right?
Right.
There's a lot of that now. There's less apparent and obvious division between the male sphere and the female sphere. And so I think it gets forgotten that, you know, there are all of these dirty physical labor jobs are still being done.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't talk about them as much anymore. But they are actually the literal foundation on which we get to have our bullshit jobs.
Yeah.
You know, you and I can do what we're doing right now is just bullshit, right? It's fun bullshit.
Absolutely.
And we're good at it.
And
but
we're
it is
valuable,
bullshit.
right?
And the only reason it's happening is because somebody is taking care of the sewers. Somebody is mining silicon. You know, that's why we can do this.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, patriarchy. It's that same thing. Yeah. Camille said that in that talk. She needs to come out. I did talk to her publicist a couple years ago, and she would be willing to come on the show, but she's not promoting anything. But I've heard whispers on the wind that she's writing a book, and I cannot fucking wait. And bitch, you better, Camille, if this gets back to you, you better not be writing another book on fucking movies, bitch. We need you in the field. I don't want to hear about the glittering stars of the 20s, ho. I want to hear about COVID shit. I want to hear about what's actually, we're bleeding in the fucking trenches. Help us. We need your voice.
How has she managed to be who she is and say what she is and weather it as well as she has? Because she's so fucking spot on. Mm-hmm. But almost everything she says is something that is morally unacceptable to the left today. Yet she has somehow managed to stay. Like, it doesn't seem to me that she's suffered huge cancellation. I'm sure she's had problems like this, but it's like, you know, people don't give her. It seems to me the amount of shit that they give other women who try to say things like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just that she's not on Twitter and she doesn't jump into that world. But I mean, she's managed to stay true to herself in a way that a lot of people don't seem to have managed.
Right. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that she's not on social media. Maybe that she disappears to her teaching job and writing and then comes out every couple of years and just smacks everybody with a 2x4 and then disappears back into the mist.
That's probably it.
In New Hampshire or wherever the fuck she's at.
Yeah. Is she in New Hampshire? I could totally stalk her if that's true.
Having a gay stalker.
I'm sure she's had more than one.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of gay stalkers, we should probably wrap this up. We've been going live for an hour and 17 minutes. We're the greatest of all time, especially me.
Ooh, yeah. Work it up, baby. Did you hear about that, Peter? They say he's really great, man. Ooh, Peter.
What in the hell just happened?
Bender, did you ever watch Futurama?
No.
Okay, listen, bitch. Futurama is the greatest adult cartoon ever drawn in history.
South Park, though, South Park had some.
Now, South Park is up in the pantheon, but I'm telling you, give it a try, because the character Bender, the robot,
right,
is. Dude, you're going to know what I'm talking about, because as soon as you see that, you're going to be like, is it me?
You're saying I'm
it me.
Is that because I'm bald? How baldest of you?
No.
How dare you?
No, it's not because you're bald. It's because you're funny and you're going to understand what I mean. You're going to love Bender. Okay. So you should give it a try.
Well, I will say one thing because I forgot about it. But when I was listening to your show to prepare, and I was like, he almost reminds me of an anti-woke Andy Rooney. Because your delivery is
cranky old man.
Have you ever noticed that these trans activists, like, it's just exactly back in my day.
I know. I can't help myself. I can hear it too. I can hear the crispening of my bones. I can hear the aging process as it happens, and I can't stop myself.
Just let it wash over you and through you. Speaking of letting it wash over and through us, thank you so much, everybody, for a wonderful. This is only the second time I've ever gone live with Conservatish, and I'm very happy. I mean,
this is super fun. Thank you, thank you, Peter, and thank you everybody for listening. This is cathartic. We just got to say a bunch of Bullshit.
Crazy shit. Yeah. We didn't even talk about fisting dildos. That was I'll wrap up. So when I was working at the
how long do I have you with that booking appointment I did for later?
As long as you make sure you tweeze. You have to tweeze this time because you ripped you cheese grated all kinds of stuff up there.
That was my cat.
Right.
You said you wanted me to bring pussy.
There was a dildo. There was a rack of dildos, a fucking giant wall of them at Does Your Mother Know? But at one point there was a giant one that was like fat based and whatever. And the owner of the store said that was Maxwell. And I'm like, well, why is it nicknamed Maxwell? He's like, you know, those car insurance commercials with the pig with the pinwheels outside, and he's going, wee. His name is Maxwell. So that's what that's for, is that a piggy going wee, because but pigs. Anyway, all right. Greedy pigs like it when they get fisted. All right.
Okay.
I thought, you know, you've been outside of the sphere for too long, the sphincter sphere. We got to get the
Thank God.
When are we going to get you out of retirement?
Kids are getting up to, I wouldn't even call it sex. It's not even human.
I've heard they're not even.
And I've done some freaky shit.
Right. Well,
no, I'm not trying to say don't get your freak on, but I mean, prolapse, really?
Evo, yeah, okay, all right. I mean, the straight, you know, it looks like a red sock just hanging out. It's covered in wet, not wet. It's covered in wet. You know what I mean? Little butt pussy nodules.
You're not supposed to try to get piles.
True.
Thank you, Peter.
Where can people find you, Joshua?
YouTube, Disaffected Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Google, iTunes, anywhere fine podcasts are sold.
Awesome. And you can find you on Facebook, but not on Instagram, I've noticed.
Yeah, there's only so much time in the world. Yeah, you can find the show on Facebook. Oh, and on Twitter, our show account is Disaffected P. That's disaffected in the letter P, and that's where we put out all our announcements. If you want to find my personal Twitter, you'll have to look for it yourself, bitches.
I think it's Original Recipe G.
God damn it.
You didn't want me to say that?
No, it's fine. It's totally fine. If I don't like any of your friends, I'll just fucking block them.
Absolutely. Those Puerto Ricans. So everybody, wherever you're listening, make sure you subscribe and share, or I'll find you and kill you. Bye, everybody. I'll end the podcast now.
Bye.